My sister opened a bakery using my recipes, my business plan, and the investment money my parents promised me. When I confronted my mother, she looked me dead in the eye and said, Vanessa needed it more. I spent 6 years perfecting those recipes in my tiny apartment kitchen. Vanessa spent 6 minutes copying my notebook while I was in the shower. This is the story of how my own family erased me to build someone else's dream, and how karma sent the bill 3 months later, in front of everyone. My name is Elena, and for 6 years, baking was the only thing that made me feel like myself. I worked full-time at a marketing job I hated, and every night I came home and tested recipes until midnight. Cardamom rolls, brown butter cookies, a sourdough starter I named after my grandmother. I filled 3 notebooks with formulas, ratios, failures, and finally, things that worked. My dream was small but specific. A 12-seat bakery on a corner street. The kind of place people walked past and couldn't help but come inside. My parents, Carol and Robert, knew about the dream. They'd tasted every version of my cinnamon rolls for years. And when I finally had a business plan solid enough to show a bank, I asked them for something smaller. A loan, not a gift. $15,000 to cover the first 3 months of rent while I got the doors open. My mother said she needed to think about it. What she was actually doing, I found out later, was showing my notebook to my sister. Vanessa is 2 years younger than me, and she has always been the one my mother worried about. The one who needed protecting. The one whose failures were never quite her fault. She'd bounced through 4 jobs in 5 years. Each time, my mother found a reason it wasn't Vanessa's fault. So when Vanessa suddenly announced she was passionate about baking, 3 weeks after I showed my parents my plan, I didn't think much of it. I actually felt happy. I thought we might even help each other. I didn't know she'd photographed every page of my notebook on her phone. I didn't know my mother had already told her, quietly, that the $15,000 was hers if she wanted it. Because, and I quote what my mother told me weeks later, "You're stable, Elena. Vanessa isn't. She needs this more than you do." I wasn't given a conversation. I wasn't given a warning. I found out my sister was opening a bakery when I saw a permit application with her name on it, using an oven layout that was detail for detail identical to the diagram in the back of my 3rd notebook. I called my mother, shaking, and asked if it was true. She didn't deny it. She said, "Don't make this a competition, Elena. You'll find another way." Three months later, Vanessa's bakery opened. My parents helped her paint the sign. My father built her display shelves in his garage. The same garage where 2 years earlier, he told me he didn't have the tools to help me build a market stall for the farmer's market. I didn't go to the opening. I couldn't. But my aunt did, and she called me that night, confused. She said the cinnamon rolls tasted exactly like the ones you used to bring to Thanksgiving. She said the menu board had a phrase on it, "Baked slow, made with patience," that I'd written inside the front cover of my 2nd notebook. I asked Vanessa about it directly, one time. I sent her a message, calm, not accusing, just asking if she'd used any of my recipes as a starting point. She left me on red for 2 days. Then she replied, "I don't know why you're making this weird. Mom said it was fine." Mom said it was fine. That was the moment I understood this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a decision. My mother had decided, somewhere along the way, that my dream was raw material, something that could be handed to Vanessa, because Vanessa needed rescuing. And I, apparently, didn't need anything at all. I stopped going to family dinners for a while. Not out of trauma, I genuinely couldn't sit at a table and watch my parents praise Vanessa's creativity when I knew exactly where that creativity came from. My mother called it me punishing the family. She said I was being cold and petty over just a bakery. Just a bakery. 6 years of my life reduced to 3 words. I threw myself back into my marketing job. I told myself the dream was dead, and maybe it was better that way. Safer, at least. No more notebooks, no more late nights. I packed the boxes of recipe cards into my closet and didn't open them for months. What I didn't expect was that Vanessa's bakery, built on stolen foundations and family money instead of experience, was never going to survive on borrowed talent alone. Running a bakery isn't just recipes. It's inventory, it's staffing, it's knowing which supplier won't cheat you on flour prices. It's understanding your oven's quirks at 5 in the morning. Vanessa had my notebook. She didn't have 6 years of failure behind it. Within 4 months, the reviews started slipping. Inconsistent, overpriced for what you get. Rolls were dry, nothing like people described. I heard about it from my cousin, not my mother. My mother had gone quiet about the bakery altogether, which told me more than she ever would have said out loud. Then, in month 5, an employee of Vanessa's, a 19-year-old named Maya, reached out to me directly. She'd found my old public Instagram, the one where I used to post my baking experiments years ago, and she recognized the recipes instantly, down to the exact wording Vanessa used to describe them to customers. Maya told me something else, too. Vanessa had been cutting corners, reusing expired dairy to save money, and telling staff to just say it's fresh if anyone asked. Maya had photos, timestamps. A health inspector was already circling after 2 customer complaints. I didn't ask her to do anything. I told her, honestly, that it wasn't my place to interfere. But Maya had her own conscience. And 3 weeks later, she filed a formal report. The inspection happened on a Saturday, the bakery's busiest day. Right before a big anniversary event Vanessa had invited the entire family to, including me, as a kind of peace offering I hadn't asked for. I almost didn't go, but something in me needed to see it, needed to close the chapter with my own eyes. I walked in just as the health inspector was walking out, clipboard in hand. And Vanessa's face had gone the color of the flour bags stacked behind her. The bakery failed the inspection, publicly, in front of the anniversary crowd. Expired dairy, unsafe storage temperatures, a formal violation notice taped to the front door before the party had even started. My mother tried to control the room, the way she always did. She pulled me aside and said, "Please don't say anything today. Let's not embarrass your sister." Don't embarrass her. As if 6 years of my recipes wasn't already sitting in glass display cases with someone else's name on the awning. I didn't need to say anything. The customers who'd shown up for the anniversary saw the violation notice themselves. Some of them left immediately. Someone filmed the inspector walking out and posted it online, tagged with the bakery's name. And by Monday, The local food blog that had once given Vanessa a glowing opening week review had written a follow-up titled, "What Happened to This Local Bakery's Reputation?" Maya, to her credit, didn't hide what she knew. In an interview for that same blog, she mentioned, without naming me directly, that some of the bakery's signature recipes had reportedly originated from a family member, not the owner. It didn't take long for people to connect the dots. My old Instagram posts started getting shared again. Years-old photos of the same cinnamon rolls, the same handwriting on the menu boards, next to screenshots of Vanessa's now struggling shop. My mother called me, furious, accusing me of sabotaging Vanessa. I told her the truth. I hadn't posted a single thing. I hadn't spoken to a journalist. I hadn't touched a health inspector's clipboard. I simply hadn't lied for 6 years the way she had. The bakery closed 2 months later. My parents quietly covered part of Vanessa's remaining lease, the way they'd covered everything else for her, and never once asked me how it felt to watch my own dream die twice. Once when it was taken, and again when it collapsed under someone else's name. But something shifted in me during those 2 months. I took my notebooks out of the closet. I started testing recipes again. Not for anyone else this time. Just for me, at first. And when I finally saved enough on my own, no loans, no family money, no permission needed from anyone, I opened a 12-seat corner bakery exactly like the one I'd always planned. I named it after my grandmother's starter. My mother has never apologized. Vanessa has never apologized either. But every morning when I unlock my own doors with my own key, I don't need them to. If someone in your family ever tried to take credit for something you built, your work, your idea, your dream, tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and honestly, your stories keep reminding me I'm not alone in this. If this story hit close to home, hit subscribe, because there are more stories like this one coming every week. And if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Real karma doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it just comes quiet, honest, and right on time.